Hello boys and girls, Fog here, and I've been playing around with the latest Snapshot 13W01A, but now this morning they've released 13W01B, so I'm going to talk about 1301B. Let me begin by saying that this is an opinion piece. Some of you may disagree with what I have to say here, and that's fine, so long as we're all polite about it. I don't have a problem with that. This is just my opinions, and you're entitled to yours, no problem. Okay, so this is our very first glimpse of what Mojang has been deeming their Redstone update. And it's very early days, so much of what we're seeing here is experimental and buggy, and that's expected, and that's fine. Okay, so everything that we're going to talk about today may very well change by the time this actually goes out as the official build. So that said, understand that I understand that. This is not the final deal and bugs are to be expected. Great. So there is an awful lot that I liked in this snapshot, but there's also a lot that I found really disappointing and frustrating. Now, it's going to sound like I'm being a little negative here because I'm deliberately going to focus on some of the things that bugged me about this snapshot. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to call attention to them, and I want Mojang to know that these things are issues that at least I would like to see fixed, and I suspect many others as well. But don't misunderstand me. There is a lot in the snapshot that I really, really like as well. And I'll talk about some of those at the end. So let's get going. All right, I'm going to start with the thing that bugged me the most, and that is that they've gotten rid of our friend the S-Bud. This used to be an S-Bud, and as you can see, the feedback timings have changed now, so this no longer, basically they've broken the capacitor behavior of transparent blocks. And that's kind of disturbing because it breaks a whole lot of really cool stuff. Now, many of you are going to scream, oh, but that was a bug and that was a glitch and they're fixing it, and I get that, that's fine, I understand that. Okay, and that's a perfectly valid opinion. But this created some really useful stuff. For instance, our friend the S-Bud latch, which gave us a very compact way of dealing with changes here and changes there. The redstone capacitor, which gave us the ability to store up redstone intensity and release it later with a block update. Now, they're kind of replacing this with this guy here, the redstone comparator, which has some behaviors. I'm not going to go into this in too much detail, but this has some of the behavior kind of that the redstone capacitor had, in that it acts on different redstone intensities. But if you really want to get rid of this kind of thing, what you really need is a way to store intensities and release it on command. So by that I mean that if I feed in a redstone signal that is at a given strength, in this case is 15, 14, 13, 12, so this is intensity 12 or 11 depending on how you want to count. What I really want is a way to have this remember that intensity when I remove the torch, so that I can call it back later. That would be very useful. The redstone comparator is kind of nifty, but it's really not all that useful. The redstone comparator gives us a way to give a different output based on the intensity level here, which is kind of nice, except that the way you trigger the way you vary the output is by sending in another intensity level over here with which to compare it against, and that was really poorly worded, but you get what I'm saying. And frankly, this takes up just as much space as doing this the old-fashioned way, which is just putting in a line of redstone dust with a bunch of repeaters hanging off of it and seeing where the repeaters stop functioning. So I'm not really sure why the redstone comparator is such a good idea. I'm sure someone will come up with some really good uses for it, but at the moment I'm not really seeing it. What I'd much rather have is a true redstone capacitor, so I can send that intensity in, remember what it was, and use that intensity later. That would be far more useful to me. Now, one of the things they tried to fix here was they tried to make piston behavior more consistent. I was afraid that we were going to lose our friend the bud switch. In fact, we don't. This bud here still works great. Some of them don't work. Many of them, in fact, most of them seem to still work, which is great. So this is good. And for instance, this light sensor here, the old style light sensor, this does still work, as we may see here in just a minute. And there we go. So bud switches and that behavior still work, and they've given us a couple of new blocks such as the day sensor and the trap chest, which help us do some things that before we could only do with buds, which is great. But what if you really want to replace something like this? What would really be nice would be a bud block, which would detect block updates on all faces except perhaps one or two, and then output a redstone signal from the other face if anything around it updated. That would be truly revolutionary and useful. So think on that. That would be great. If they've been rumored to be working on something like that, I would love for that to be true. That would be really useful. Give me that, and give me a real true redstone capacitor, and I will never lament the loss of this again, I promise. So bud behavior still works, but they've tweaked the timings, and they've done it in a way that's a little dangerous and puzzling. This still works because this repeater is directly powering this piston, which makes it a secondary source of power for the piston below. So that's fine. But a lot of advanced redstone contraptions and a lot of condensing of redstone depends on this behavior here, where causing a secondary block update, where we can power this block here and then cause a block update down here, and therefore trigger both of these pistons from a distance. But that's broken now, and I suspect it's because the timing for when this gets active and when the update gets checked has changed dramatically. That's a problem. That really needs to be fixed. So things that use lamps as a secondary source of update, things that use trapdoors or fence gates, that doesn't work either now. So let's see. If I put a fence gate there, this should work. It doesn't. But you can see, like, if I go in and I switch this manually, oh, see, that's not even creating an update at all. So some things are generating updates and some things aren't, and it's very inconsistent. This should really create a block update. So I really don't understand why that was changed. A lot of redstone contraptions, as I said, depend on this behavior, and removing that seems a little irresponsible. Cube Hamster did an excellent video where he went through some of this stuff, and I'll refer you to his video. Cube Hamster's a far better redstoner than I, so please, Mojang, listen to people like Cube Hamster, and I mean, it's great that you're talking to Seth Bling. That's a great source as well, but listen to these people and pay attention to what they're telling you and tread very lightly, because changing these timings is going to break a lot of stuff, and it's not always in a way that's good. Interestingly enough, this does work, and which is nice. At least we have a substitute for that. But it's confusing as to why this should work and that doesn't. I suspect there's something to do with this update change causing a block update, but the lamp coming on not causing a block update. Search me. It's very bizarre. All right, now let's talk about dispenser behavior. I was really afraid that this was going to break. This block is being powered by that switch, and that's powering the dispenser. And with the dispenser powered, any redstone updates near it should cause the dispenser to fire. So that still works, actually, which is great, because I've built a lot of stuff based around this. However, it does seem that the behavior's changed a little bit, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it does make me a little sad because here's a contraption that I really love. This is my 30-second mob softener. And the way this is supposed to work is this button powers the dispenser, which causes it to dispense the lava that's inside it. And then 2 ticks later, this repeater goes off, and the redstone update in the vicinity should cause the lava to retract. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Now, after experimenting around, I found that this does work. If I take the power from the button and route it around there, and then put that power directly into the dispenser, that does work. So we have a workaround, which is great, but it's kind of confusing. I suspect what's happening here is that they've made a change. Here, we should be able to experiment with that. It used to be that any redstone update in the vicinity would cause an No, see, that does still work. That's interesting. Okay, so it's not what I thought it was. That's just weird. Maybe it's that, oh yeah, here's a thought. I'll bet it's that this doesn't cause an update anymore. Hold on a minute. I'm betting what's happened here is that, no, that confuses the hell out of me. That is really strange. Maybe we do this. Oh, okay. No, see, that works too. Okay, Mojang, this one puzzles me. I don't know what changed here. I don't know why it's a good thing. So, yeah, whatever. Whatever, people. Anyway, at least we have a workaround, and that's fine. But, I mean, you're tinkering with things that I'm not really sure why you're tinkering with them. So now let's talk about some of the things that I really like. I really like the new redstone block. Finally, we have a movable source of redstone power. That's really cool, and that's going to enable all sorts of cool stuff, provided we get some of the timing glitches worked out. I really like the new daylight sensor. There are a couple of things about it that puzzle me, however. It records the intensity of daylight, of the day, actually. Its intensity changes with the hours of the day, which is great. But what about the night? Can we get something that changes intensities with the hour of the night as well? Furthermore, it only seems to reflect the position of the sun, which is going down. So let me put it back up there. Boop. It only seems to reflect the position of the sun and not light intensity in a room. It would be kind of nice if we had one of these that would tell us how bright the light is at a certain point, what our light level is. That might be nice. Probably not as useful as this, however, so you know what, I'll take it. This is pretty cool. The new weighted pressure plates are pretty cool. Something that can register different intensities based on how many items are on it. That's pretty neat. I don't know how useful that is, but I can imagine some uses for this. This one does the same thing. It just requires many more items before it advances. And no, I'm not going to pile a whole stack of items on there one at a time. Anyway, these are very cool. That's nice. The trap chest. I really like the trap chest, but not for the reasons you might think. The trap chest, by the way, generates a redstone pulse or not pulse, but a redstone signal whenever it's opened. So this redstone right here is being powered by the chest when the chest is open. Super cool. Lets us do some things that we really had no way of doing before at all, because opening a chest never created a block update. So that's really cool. I really like that, but not for the reasons you might think. The reason I like it is because now I can put a regular chest and a trap chest side by side and have really compact storage rooms. That's super useful. And the last thing that I really think is cool, although it's buggy, is the item hopper. Once you guys get this figured out, that's going to be really, really cool. You see, things popped in the top, filter down into the chest. You can do all sorts of really cool things with it. There are some bugs with it with relation to furnaces and stuff. Troll the YouTube videos, and I'm sure you'll find plenty that explain that. Take this and combine it with like a pipe would be really, really cool. I know you can use the hopper as a pipe, but it looks really butt ugly as a pipe. So it would be nice if we had a dedicated pipe block as well. But yeah, this is really cool. I like this. So keep at it. So like I said, lots to like in the new Snapshot. A few things that really puzzle me. Mojang, tread lightly when you change these timings. You are going to create all sorts of problems. So hopefully you're going to listen to some of the Redstone experts out there and give us something that we all can use. Now, in conclusion, let me just state that I realize, like I said before, this is early days. This is a very early build. Lots will change before they release. I'm sure they have other things in the pipeline. Many of what they have planned may address some of my concerns here. In fact, I have great faith that it will. Also, let me say that I love Minecraft, and I'm super happy with this game, and I like the direction that we're going overall. And as things change, I'll adapt. That's fine. I'll work with whatever I'm given with, and I'll be happy for it, quite frankly. I'm not averse to change. It's not change for change's sake that I'm worried about. I do worry that changing some of these timings is kind of a solution in search of a problem. I fear that Mojang is fixing things that most advanced Redstoners don't really consider broken. Be really careful about removing block update detection and things like that, because it enables some of the more advanced builds, and coming up with a haphazard replacement for the things that you think people are using block update for and those timing checks for will probably have unintended side effects. So be really careful with that, please. Well, anyway, that's all I have for today. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you all again next time.